everyone, and welcome to another informative and value Europe and the UK scholarship series. And in case you are not aware, this series is actually created as a space for honest conversation, personal experiences, and practical guidance for students that are seeking for scholarship opportunities across Europe and the UK. And for those joining us for the first time, I am Omobolanle Koshe, the host of the Europe and the UK Scholarship Series, which is an initiative of the Agri Scholars Mentoring Hub. Prior to now, we've recorded 8 to 9 sessions that have on our YouTube page. And in case you're interested in catching up in any of the session, you can just visit our YouTube channel. Okay, so I want to specially welcome you to today's session where we'll be focusing on Wageningen University and research in the Netherlands. And today I'm super excited to be hosting this session. I believe you all know why anyway. Wageningen is one of the world-leading institutions in agriculture, food systems, sustainability, and life sciences. So if you are considering a master's degree in Wageningen University, or maybe you are preparing your application, or just simply looking out for global academic opportunities, let me tell you, this session is actually designed to provide you the clarity, the structure, and the practical insight from scholars who have actually successfully navigated this journey. So in this session, we'll be covering different topics on how to write master's program at Wageningen University, the admission process and the time, scholarship availables and how to apply, how to navigate the essays, interviews, and actually the key selection tips. And if time permits, we also look into the visa application process and life as a scholar. Before we actually proceed for tonight's session, we would love to know who is actually joining us on board for this session. So if you are there with us, can you please take a moment to introduce yourself in the comment section? Let us know your name and the country to which you are joining us from. So I'm going to go into our comment section. Okay, thank you so much. I don't know the name, but I'm seeing Joe Yoshi. So thank you. I think you are the first participant that we have here live from YouTube. Thank you for joining us. And we also look forward to many other people to introduce them to the comment session. Okay, and one like to ask for your favor, in case you have anyone that's going this, feel free to share the invitation link from our event webpage. You can post it on your social media timeline just to invite as many people that would be a beneficiary of this session. Okay, you said Joy. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. We have Sherif. Thank you for joining us. I don't know if that's showing right. Okay. Yeah, we should have him. Yeah, Sherif from Nigeria. Thank you for joining us. I can see one of our scholars brother here, Ozobodo Great. Thank you for joining us. Um, okay, yes, you are the first person to join. Definitely, we have Patience from Nigeria. Thank you for joining us. Okay, we have Omotola. Thank you for joining us. Oluwaseun, Okpeyemi. I see a lot of people like they are already on the lookout for this session. Yeah, I think we have like over 170 participants that registered for this session. Kindly bear with me because of our time. We have a long way to go to this, so I might not be able to take up everybody that is already introducing themselves. But yeah, we are so honored to have you join us for this session. Thank you so much for taking out time from your busy schedule to join us for this session. And like you know, as our official custom, we would like to open this session with a just to acknowledge the creator of the universe who has made it possible for each and every one of us to be alive to participate in this session. So our Father and our God, we thank you this evening. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the gift of life. From the last time we had the session to this very particular moment, we are very grateful, Father. For as many that has joined us tonight, Lord God, the wisdom, the clarity that they need to be able to navigate their scholarship journey, Father, you grant unto them in the name of Jesus. Thank you, everlasting Father, because you've heard and answered. For in Jesus' mighty name we've prayed. Amen. All right, so thank you so much. And once again, we want to appreciate each and every one of you for joining us for this session on Wageningen University Scholarships. So quickly, I would like to introduce our speakers in the house. I know some of you might be familiar with the faces you are seeing out there, but yeah, let's just do a brief introduction of the three guest speakers that I have with me on board. And the first person I would love to introduce is Victoria Alabi. She's a second-year master student in development and rural innovation at Wageningen University and Research, and she's a recipient of the African Scholarship Program 2024. Her work actually focuses on food systems transformation, youth inclusion, gender studies, and social justice. And next, I have Joshua Akinola, which is a plant scientist and a food security enthusiast with a strong background in molecular breeding, plant pathology, and biotechnology. He recently completed his master's degree in plant biotechnology at Wageningen University and Research, where he specialized in molecular plant pathology, and is also an ASP scholar and someone that is deeply involved in mentoring aspiring graduate students. You'll be surprised how many people have been able to get the ASP scholarship through him. So finally, I have King David Ozobodo. He also holds a master's degree in biorefinery and circular economy from Wageningen University and is a recipient of the Anne van der Ban Fund ABF scholarship. So his research focuses on waste-free industry, low carbon systems, and circular economies, and he has led award-winning sustainability projects both at national and European level. So maybe with a round of applause in the comment section, can you join me to welcome our speakers on board for this session? Yeah, so just drop a bit of a clap emoji or something there and let us know that you are with us for this session. Yeah, so to all our speakers, yeah, thank you so much for your time and for taking our time to join us today. Thank you so much. So let's go straight into our session because of the time. The first person I'll be directing my question to is actually Victoria. And like you know, we like to start with our personal journey, our academic background. So Victoria, if you don't mind, can you walk us briefly through your academic journey and what specifically attracted you to study in Wageningen University?
Thank you very much, Omobolanle. It's quite interesting to be in this webinar, and I'm really privileged to be among scholars because all these are my scholars. I'm grateful for Joshua particularly because he was one of my mentor during my application period, and also Stabolatu was also one of the very great person in my academic journey. Well, my academic journey started back in Nigeria, where I had my bachelor in agricultural administration. I basically deal with agricultural extension, so it's more or less like how farmers can engage with the market and also how we can have an organization, more like the agricultural organization space. That's where my foundation actually started from, and I had the privilege to know a little bit. I had farm experiences, agricultural experiences, because back then in Federal University of Agriculture, which I studied, I had a 1 year farm experience. So I had my foundation was being in agriculture. And during my time after my studies, I had some break because I had like 2 years work experience in basically in the human resource aspect. But I was really interested to do something related to sustainable agriculture development, how we can bring change to the rural community which I came from. And when I started, looking for opportunities, for scholarship opportunities, Wageningen is one of the biggest university with the agricultural presence in Europe, and I couldn't lower myself to say, I can't be a Wageningen scholar also. And I started looking for opportunities there. I searched the website to see what courses actually align to my background, which is in agriculture. Oh my God, there's a lot of there's a lot of master's program in agricultural space in Wageningen. But one thing that particularly made me to apply to development and rural innovation was most. They talk about technical solutions in agricultural space. We are looking for technical, I mean, a lot of technical things have actually been used to solve agricultural problems. But why can't we do something different? Why can't we do like solve these issues we have in agriculture from a interdisciplinary approach? How can we bring together different knowledge, not just technical approach, but indigenous knowledge, traditional knowledge, science knowledge? You know, those are the things I discovered in the website that makes me to look at this development and rural innovation as a, oh, I think this course sounds very interesting to me. And the program over the my first year right now, you know, it's more or less like how can we solve problems from the basic, you know, from the tiny things we don't even think of. How can we solve a complex problem from the little things we don't imagine? And that has, I mean, when I saw these descriptions in the website, I know that no, I have to. This is exactly where my focus is, and I applied. And luckily for me, I got the admission, and I prayed, and obviously I had a background like my academic. I have an excellent background in university, so I was nominated for the scholarship, and the scholarship period came. It was toughest, and I scaled through. And here I am in my second year writing my thesis and also other things. The rest is
Thank
history.
you so much. Thank you for giving us the detailed background. It's actually interesting to see how you were able to align your academic background to the current program you are actually studying in Wageningen. And that's one key thing for us to actually understand. Regardless, it's important, like either your academic background or your experiences, it's aligned to the program you are actually applying for. We are going to get there very soon. Okay, so the next question I'm going to throw that to Joshua. Can you also share your scholarship journey with us? I don't know if that was the first attempt you made and you were able to get it luckily. So I don't know, at what point do you think like, okay, I want to go and study at Wageningen University, and just you applied and got the scholarship?
Okay. Oh, thank you for that question. First, yeah, it was my first application cycle. I think I was not the one that had to wait multiple cycles, but it was not my first application indeed. I had applied previously to Erasmus, I had applied to the Commonwealth, all in the same cycle of application. But then, in fact, there was one of this school I would never forget. We had the interview, and before they dropped the call, they sent me a rejection, right? Like before we dropped the calls. So I knew that even though I was close, I mean, if you're getting to interviews, you're close, right? I knew there was something I was not doing right uh, if you are getting that close. So then I chose to, luckily, I hadn't submitted my application to Wageningen at the time. So I chose to start rewriting again, and that was when I contacted scholars. And when I was looking through one of their profiles, I saw that one of them had actually attended Wageningen and he studied something in my field. So that was when I went to look up the school, and then I thought, how did I not know, one of the best ranking schools in my field? So I started to look into the school. My background for bachelor's was in plant science and biotechnology, and they had plant biotech in Wageningen. So it was like the right fit, except that of course, I schooled in Nigeria, so I did a lot of classic breeding, and genetics. But here, of course, there is a bit of classics, but they are more molecular, more bioinformatics, modeling, on that aspects of things. So for me, it was easy, and that's the beautiful thing about Falcon again. They are not looking for you to be all prepared. I think the potentials is what spells it for them, right? So I didn't have to lie about my profile. I just mentioned this is my bachelor's, this is my background, this is what I see that is going on in the school, and those are the things I'm hoping to learn. That was the whole story, and then I made that application, had my interviews, and I got into Wageningen. And it was a nice ride. 2 years,
And
two
you were
solid
able to
nice years
complete
of,
it.
of learning. So thankfully,
Yeah,
I
so thank you so
completed
much
it.
for
So
that.
that was really my journey. It was brief, yeah. I didn't do many cycles, so my journey was quite straightforward.
Yeah, so that was a very good one. And seeing the same order or the same storyline from Victoria to Joshua, you can see somehow they sort of aligned academic background. It's not about trying to polish your profile, just state it the way you are and just find a way to seek guidance once again when it comes to applying to scholarship opportunities in Wageningen. Okay, thank you so much for that, Joshua. I'll go ahead to King David, and maybe it's not going to be your story this time around, King David. I just want you to talk about Wageningen University directly. Like, what does it stand for academically and culturally, and why should international students consider studying in Wageningen University? And one more thing I want you to actually spell out there is the fact that most is all about agricultural potential pathways courses that people can study, especially for someone like you that did something on biorefinery.
Okay, yes, thank you very much for the question, Blessing, and yeah, good evening to everyone who's on the call. So the core value
Okay.
of
Are
Wageningen University is
we
sustainability.
missing King David there?
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
I
can hear
can.
you, Blessing. Yeah,
I can hear you too from my end.
okay. I guess maybe Blessing is yeah, I think the host is okay. Yeah, so just on with the question why Blessing still tries to connect. So, core value of Wageningen University is sustainability. So yeah, she's back. Um, the core value of Wageningen University is sustainability. So although the university started out as an agricultural university, it has rebranded itself over the years to focus on designing and providing solutions for a sustainable future. So no matter what field in the university, we also have courses in sustainable finance, sustainable business development, sustainable agriculture. My subject matter is also about sustainability. I'm sure all the scholars here during your studies, you also did one or two things that also had to do with sustainability. So that is the basic foundation and the core value of Wageningen University sustainability. Um, so in Wageningen, there's a place for everyone, no matter your background. There's always a course because it's also the second core value of the university, interdisciplinarity. Um, Wageningen is quite an interdisciplinary university. The focus or the emphasis is to try to make sure that every in discipline tries to interact or communicate with one another. So even though I'm in the life sciences, I'm able to understand what somebody in the business domain is saying. Or if someone in the plant sciences or in agriculture is saying something, someone on the other side in engineering also knows how to think along with them and to share and exchange ideas. So that's also another aspect of Wageningen, the interdisciplinarity. So when you come here, you should expect that you'll be trained to talk and to interact with other disciplines. Second, I think, can you guys see me? Because I can see everyone and I see myself here.
Yeah, we can't see you.
Um, yeah, can
Okay,
you see
you're
me?
back now. Yes, you're
Yeah, I
back
guess there
now.
was a glitch because everything was fine. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we
Yeah.
sincerely
So
apologize for the
Yeah.
You can go ahead.
Uh, so yeah, the interdisciplinarity is also another important thing. When I came here, I was mostly focused on, okay, I thought I was coming here to study, okay, how do you design biorefinery, bioengineering systems, circular systems? But then after, at the end of my studies, I am very confident to speak with anyone, no matter what they're talking about. Even if you are doing something in quantum mechanics, I have acquired the skills to know how to understand you, to follow you, but then to also tie it down to sustainability. So Wageningen is also
Yeah.
very hands-on. Can you hear me, Blessing?
Okay. Thank you so much. And yes, I can hear you. Thank you so much, King David. I want
Yeah.
to sincerely apologize for the technical glitch in between. I went off, then this camera was off, but yeah, we need to
Yeah.
continue. I believe he has been
Yeah.
able to do justice to that question in the sense that trying to let you know what Wageningen stand for, and this would also help you when crafting or preparing your application for scholarship opportunities in Wageningen. All right. So I think when we are talking about applying for scholarship, there is a basic step to which you need to start from. And I want Victoria to start off with that. So for anyone that is interested in applying or studying at Wageningen University, what's essentially the first step to navigating what scholarship? So what should prospective students actually look out when choosing their program at the university?
Okay, can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, you're a bachelor student and you're looking forward to a master's program in Wageningen. Number one step, Wageningen website is wur.nl. So short and simple. You go to wur.nl, that is war.nl. You click the website, you click it on your Chrome or your whatever Google search you're using, and you click on it, you find the bachelor. They have bachelor programs, they have master's program, they have engineering doctorate programs, they have PhD program. You click on, okay, another thing is try to switch your language or translate it, because here in Wageningen the language is Dutch. So you switch it to, if you're not conversant with Dutch language, you use the English version, which you then, if you are considering to apply to a master's program, you click on the master's program and you check different master's program they have. And if you consider that, okay, I want to master, sorry, I wanted to say bachelor's program, but if you want a master's program, you click on the master's program. They have several, a lot of it, a lot of master's program. And so interesting for you, Wageningen just revamp their website, so they make life so easy. If you want a full-time program, you can say there, I want a full-time program. If your interest is in food, technology, health, nature, climate, economy, society, communications, they already have like a checklist that you just click on it. If your interest is both in food and technology, they help you filter it. Then you check all the program under food or technology. Yeah, we have the European Masters Food Studies, we have the Masters Water Technology, we have the Masters Animal Science, Masters Animal Biodiversity, Genomics, a lot of programs that you can apply to. Then you yourself, you sit down and you say, okay, I want to apply to this program. You check this program details, read every information that is in there. Then you cross check and you know, okay, this is the program. You can check different programs and check the of the program informations. Then from there you make your decisions. I think that's just how simple it is.
Yeah, thank you so much, Victoria. I think that's just the most basic place you need to start your application journey from. The website is very open and very detailed. So we are just, it's like we are trying to repeat most of the things out there, but just to simplify the process. That is why we are hosting this session to actually walk you guys through it. Joshua, I want to follow up with Victoria from where she stopped. What do you think are the main academic fit or requisites that students should actually pay attention to when choosing their program? Because, yeah, maybe I studied animal science and I want to navigate into plant science because, yeah, you can transit, maybe, I don't know. Yeah. So I just want you to walk us through that part of the application, like choosing the right program.
Okay, thank you. I think there is a lot to choosing the right program. And for Wageningen, well, from what I've observed, it will not essentially. Oh, sorry, it's all frozen on my screen, but let me know if you can still hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, then I'll
I'm
just
afraid.
proceed. So, it's the for Wageningen, it's not really a function of are you switching fields or not that says, oh, we would give you or would not give you. I think what is most important for Wageningen is the justifications you're able to provide. For example, when decided to venture into like advising people for Wageningen, one of the things I did was to first go around, ask questions from current scholars, and collated data. So it was one of the things I compared. And if King can remember now, I would remember we had this conversation when I tried to ask him what he did for his bachelor's, and he said it was in biochemistry. And now I said, so how did you then do something in circular economy for your master's, right? So I think what is most common is that most people pick something similar to their bachelor's, but others do not. But I'm saying whether you do or you do not, um, the most important thing for Wageningen is to provide a justification why in your essays it should be clear why you are applying to this master's program. I mean, in fact, that's a pitfall for many people that are applying to something in their field. You know, people that are cross carpeting are like more likely to provide justifications and say, "Oh, this is what I did, this is what I want to do, and this is why." They put the in between. But most people that just want to continue in their field just think, "Oh, well, they are not blind. If I did plant science and I'm applying to plant biotech, you should be able to see it." So you're more tempted to jump through that part, but that's not factoring again for you. They want to see your journey. I did this for my bachelor's. After that, I had this and this experience, which is triggering my curiosity in this particular field of interest. And that's why I want to venture into that field. This is what Wageningen would afford me and would help me to now be able to, pursue those interests. So I think for Wageningen, it doesn't matter which, whether you are continuing on your field or you're switching specializations. What is important is that you provide the justifications, and the primary justification is your interest in terms of research, in terms of what contributions you want to make, how you also came about that interest is also very important. Once you provide those justifications, usually I think you're fine with Wageningen.
That's a very deep one. Thank you so much. I hope you guys are taking note of all these salient points because you mentioned something crucial. The main thing is your interest, your research interest, your ability to identify and be able to explain why you are actually going in that direction. Either you are switching or you are staying within that same field. So please, I want you to just pay attention to this most important notes. Thank you so much there for the clarification, Joshua. Next, I'm going to push the question to King David. This is on the website, but I just want King David to just maybe as part of the session to just highlight these key things, like the key requirements that applicants should actually look out for when applying for admission. And I also want you to highlight more about the IELTS because I've got a lot of questions around that.
Oh, yeah. So the requirements for Wageningen are quite straightforward, like Blessing said, they're on the website. But to go over them, the first requirement is your diploma, so your bachelor's diploma. That's if you're going for a master's program. So you should have your bachelor's certificate and your transcript. Also on the website, you can also see that you can make an application if you don't have your full transcript, like the official one, because I know with Nigeria or some other parts of Africa, maybe because of the procedure or process, or maybe you're in your final year, you haven't gotten your official transcripts yet. So you can apply, just have your complete set of results that should be vetted, like let's say someone from your faculty, to show that it's actually the correct thing you have. So your bachelor certificate, your transcripts to show all the courses you did and all the grades you got, because it is from there that the admissions committee judges, okay, your capacity to carry on with some of the courses that you'll be doing, because they also judge that as well. Um, the second one is, as Blessing already mentioned, the English language test. So it's a base requirement. You can't go around that except you come from. Well, I know it's a bad news, but sad news, but it's just something you have to do. If you want to come to Wageningen, you have to decide to take an English test. The options are IELTS, that's the International English Language Test, and or TOEFL. Those are like the popular two choices that most people take, and they actually have cutoffs. So for IELTS, I mean for TOEFL, that was the one I did. The Wageningen requires 90%, on 90 out of 120. For IELT, some courses also have like so you also have to read. So when you've decided this is the course I want to do, you have to look at their own specific requirement, because I think some courses also have like specific requirements for the cutoffs for the English test. So generally, Wageningen will ask you for 90, but if you do some international courses, like some international European thing, they might require higher. So you have to also make sure you check on that as well. So there's a general requirement from the university, but make it a point of duty to check what your course of your desired course also wants. So then, of course, you need your CV, because as Joshua already mentioned, you have to justify how or why you are going for what you want to go for. So Wageningen wants to see how your progression has gone over the years. And the way to do that is by your CV, 2 pages max. I'm sure some of us might have too many experiences, but it's always advisable to keep it to 2 pages, give the main points that you want the reviewer to see. Then your motivation letter, which is also very, very key. That is where you now explain the why. Okay, this is why I chose this program, or this is the thing, the impact I want to make. So in your motivation letter, you also explain yourself, give your personal statement there. Finally, although some programs don't require it, but it's also advisable. I always advise people to get a recommendation. If you have people who can give you recommendations, your past employers or your lecturers, places you've worked with, or people who can give like an attestation to your capacity to follow master studies or to follow your motivation. Because as Joshua said, Wageningen wants to see your talent. They want to say, okay, this person actually is going somewhere, and we can help them get to that place. And your recommendation is a way, the recommendation letter is a way for another person of standing to say, okay, I've worked with this person, I taught this person worked in my lab, and I can attest. So these are the things these are the must-haves for Wageningen University application.
Thank you so much for that detailed clarity. So I think in a very brief summary, he has been able to tell you what you need, and apart from the university requirements, you also need to check the specificity of what you need for your program. And I think Victoria mentioned that already, like when you choose that specific program, try to read in detail what is actually required if you're applying for that particular program. Before we move forward, King David, I wanted to address this question I'm seeing in the comment section. I don't do this normally, but I don't want us to be going back and forth on it. Is
Yeah.
what of Duolingo English test? Is it acceptable?
From the when I checked it last, Duolingo was not acceptable. So I know some universities are accepting it, but Duolingo for Wageningen is currently not being accepted. So it's IELT or TOEFL, or you can do the Cambridge test, whichever you feel much comfortable with doing. The full list of the tests that are accepted by the university are on the website, by the way. So Is something you can also look up. But Duolingo, sadly, for now, is not yet acceptable. Yeah.
So thank you so much. I
And
see a lot
sorry,
of
can I also
students.
say something? Because I also
Okay,
got a
yeah.
question just yesterday about the TOEFL. Someone wanted to do the TOEFL home-based test. So it's not also it's the IBT, so the one you go to a test center. So it's also so because within TOEFL you also have some different types. So someone I know wanted to take the um, home-based one, but to just be on the safe side, what the university requires is the internet-based test. So you go to a test center and you do your test there. Yeah.
So because I have received a lot of DMs is with this IELTS, so I intentionally want us to dwell on it, and I can see the comments now. It's actually flooding with the fact that is medium of instruction not accepted, IELTS, blah blah blah. But we need to let you guys get it straight. IELTS is a compulsory requirement for Wageningen University Scholarship. I don't know. No, an English test. Sorry, not
English.
IELTS test per se. So you can do TOEFL, any English test, but try to check the website to be sure that it is actually what is acceptable by the university. Sadly, for now, for most developing countries, I think except for South Africa, that's the one that is exempted. But every other countries that is coming
Yeah.
from that Africa, I think they are requesting IELTS.
Or if you have a
Sorry.
master's, yeah, because I also looked at it. I think if you have a master's if you had your master's in English, although I don't know if it also applies to if you did your master's, let's say somewhere in Africa, but they said if you have your master's and the language of instruction was English, you can also apply here. But some of the scholarships then will not consider you because their requirement is that you don't have a master. So it's
Okay,
yeah.
so I think that's just to be on the safer side because if you don't get the admission, there is no way you can move on to the next phase of the application, which is the scholarship nomination. So the most important thing is the admission, and you have to do everything right to get the admission first. Okay, so let's go ahead, Joshua. I'm coming back to you now. So when should applicants actually start preparing for admission? I know we have two intake rounds, maybe February and September. So which of this actually guarantees a scholarship nomination? So I want you to walk us through the timeline there.
Okay, interesting. Well, I'd also checked into this at some point. I think largely fundings are usually offered for resumptions in August. The students that resume in August, mid-year August. Usually the fundings are offered for then. So far, I've only seen one student that came in February and was funded, but yeah, when I asked sufficient questions, it was also someone in the August batch who had some personal setbacks. Wageningen being an interesting school decided if you have some personal setbacks, we can offer you to resume in February. And that's Wageningen for you, right? They consider, they try to if they think you have got it, then they really place their bet on you and they are in it with you. So it was not essentially trying to apply to February. So in the real sense, what they target to fund are students that are really coming in August. And I think it's usually the best time to come to Wageningen to study really because there's a whole lot of acclimatization that you need to do, to a new learning experience, a new learning style, because it is indeed different, the learning style. So, yeah, primarily the students coming in August are funded. So, a quick rundown of the timeline. Foremost is that the dates are usually available on the Wageningen website every year. If you just click on the ASP scholarship, you can even just Google ASP 2026 timelines, and it takes you to the scholarship page where you can read on the different scholarships. You see the timelines. So first is that you don't apply to Wageningen scholarship, right? It's not a scholarship that you apply to by yourself. It's a scholarship by invitation. What that means is that you are only invited to now compete for a spot in the scholarship. So, well, your competition begins from the start because you need to compete, to be noticed by them, right? And like I always say, it starts from that first invite from them. Being someone that has also observed multiple application cycles now, I can say that I've seen different batch of students get in each year, and I can say that it gets the kind of profiles that I see each year. You can tell that people are really putting in their A game to this. So it starts the earlier I said that to infer that the earlier you start preparing to apply, the better. Now is not too late. Interestingly, I've also seen someone that submitted on deadline, right, and got in. So there is never a too late time, but the earlier the better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much. That's one
Yeah,
thing
the earlier.
I actually wanted you to emphasize. Sorry, because I know people are already asking me, "Oh, can I still put in for admission?" And I know that
Absolutely.
making application takes 4 to 6 weeks on a minimum, and the nomination for
Okay.
this September intake is going to start in February. So just imagine if
Yes.
you are just applying for the admission, the chances are very slim. But just like Joshua said, you never can say, so you can
Yeah,
still,
it's still a possibility. Yeah.
yeah.
So, provided you put in that application by February, the deadline, then you stand a chance of being invited. But I also know that for that invite, the process is that your department has to recommend you. So when you don't put in that application in time, your department might not likely get that chance, even though your doesn't mean your profile is not good enough. Your department might not get the chance to be able to recommend you to say, oh, we think this student has the potential to be funded for this study. So it's important to start. I usually recommend it opens somewhere towards the end of each year around that September. So it's always okay to start around October thereabout. It's always okay to start putting in your documents, all the questions. ssc@word.nl. That email replies to all your questions as quickly as possible. So if you have them and you are not even able to reach out to a scholar, start from around that time. SSC replies you in time for all your questions, and hopefully by December, January, you have submitted and you have your application letter, you have your admission letter with you, right? So that's the first step. Now, after having that admission letter, if if you are invited for the applications, which happens sometimes in March, I think, then good luck to you. You now have to compete for a spot amongst the number of students, and that again is on a timeline that is defined by Wageningen, but usually it starts by that March when you're first invited, and some you get like some actual work to do, which is often dictated by the school. They give you some set of instructions to send in documents that you have to prepare. You have like a timeline of about 2 weeks to make that assignment, after which those are screened again for another round. So it's actually a tough one. It's actually a tough one, and I think it's one that is worth it, because when you consider that you're applying to actually a school that is high global ranking but also number one in our field globally, then I think Wageningen needs more PR, to be honest, because this is a school that stands number one in our field, right? The fact that it's not the name is not standing out there with the with the Harvard, with the Cambridge, might make a lot of students to be lackadaisical in the application. But when you see the quality of ongoing work and the quality of scholars that the school churns out, you realize that you're in for a big feat in the whole thing. So it's like 2 rounds. You have to compete, and then there is also the interview round, which is the final phase. And getting to the interview rounds does still not guarantee you that you get in. So that's the entire timeline. You get invited, you have to submit an assignment with an instruction from the school, and then finally you have an interview again.
Okay,
And
so
the final result comes in, I think, somewhere in May thereabouts.
all right. Thank you so much, Joshua. So you guys have a clue of where to start and where you are actually likely going to end up with. So the earlier, the better. I think that's just the key emphasis of this question. The earlier, the better you can start mission, then the more chances you have getting nominated for the scholarship. So when you get to the scholarship, then that's another entire ball game on its own. Okay, so Victoria, over to you. I just wanted to walk us through the admission process. I know maybe Joshua might have shared one or two things already, but in more details, can you share with us how does the admission process works? I know there is a portal or a platform which student needs to submit their document to. So yeah, can you go ahead with that?
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Well, I think for this admission period, it's pretty kind of late, yeah, for that admission process. But for those that would want to apply for the next academic year, it might be the best time for you to start your applications now or planning towards it. Maybe you've not written your IULTS or your GRE yet, so and also the admission. This is the best time for you to start the application process. I explained what if you want to apply to a master's program earlier. So if you've already found the program suitable for your course that you are really keen about, that I want this program, I want to study food health or animal science and things like that, write it in your jotter. Then you will go to, after writing it in your jotter or whatever you've already wanted to for the program, then you go to study. Though on the website also there's like instructions for that, but just for this program I'll also try to explain that. You go to study link. There's something called study link. This is where mostly if you want to study in the Netherlands, basically you need to go there. And all university, it's not only Wageningen University that you need this study link for. If you want to study in Utrecht or any other university that might be interesting for you, not basically in agriculture, anyways, you have to go to study link, because this is generally where all schools you have to register, like a pre-registration. I tried to log into my study link. It's been a while, but I cannot do that. So I will try to share you. Maybe you could give me. I mean, let me share my screen for you to see what my study link look like, so that you will be able to know what I'm talking about. Stabila, I don't know if you can give me access for them to see my screen.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay, so yeah, so this is study link. If you just go to your Google, type study link, you click on it, then it takes you to this beautiful interface. Then you see the international students. We are all international students. So you create your account. If you create your account, it will take you through a lot of processes, which I cannot do by myself right now. So if you are a nationality of Algeria, Ghana, Nigeria, Egypt, you click on your nationality. Let me see, I'm from Nigeria. So
Sorry, Joshua, are you seeing the other things that she's doing? Because I can only see the study link.
No, I think our screen is actually fixed on that place, right?
Can you
okay,
try to
But
go back and log in again to the study link? Because we can only see the first page on the Microsoft browser.
can you see it now?
I'm trying to accept it back. Yes. Yes, we can see your screen now.
Okay, yeah. So you click on you want to create an account. If you've never registered there before, then you click on your account. It will take you to this interface, which will show you, ask you to put your nationality. Then you put if you're a Moroccan, if you're an Egyptian, then like that. Then I'm in Nigeria. I click on Nigeria, and afterward, it will. The next phase is for me to scan my passport. Then yeah, I'll have to scan my passport, and I can't do that right now. But this is basically what you need to create the account. I'll need to stop from here because I can't continue. So this is just the first step for you to, if you want to apply for an admission. I'll stop my screen now. Yeah. So this is what you need to follow. Of course, you can just follow the step. It's so systematic. Yeah, it's just life is so easy. You just need to follow step one after the other. There's no rubbish. There's no need for you to ask for agents that come and help me and seek for admission. Do it yourself. It's so sweet to do things yourself because you find interesting facts yourself. And once you register there, it will ask you which university in the Netherlands you want to apply to. It will show you all the university in the Netherlands. Then you say, okay, I want to apply to Wageningen University. boom, it will take you to Wageningen University. You pick the Wageningen University, and afterward, it will ask you which program do you want to apply to and what year, what program is it September? The life is just so beautiful, organized life. Then I don't know, I don't know how to say it's so organized. Then it will okay, I want February, September 2027 year, you put it there, which program they have all the program that is on their website is also there. You click on it, food health, animal science, you click it, follow the instruction one after the other. Then it will ask you put your document like okay this year, then afterward they will screen it, then they will ask you, I mean I think from there they will take you to Osiris to start your application. They will give you all your you put your passport, you prepare your motivation letter, why do you want to, like just put all the information that you know that this document, if I put it, they will give me admission. I have a friend that just was in the first week of January. She also know about Wageningen, and in the first week she just applied to biology. She followed the instructions normal. Just I didn't even ask her. I just told her about my school, and she just went there and applied. Within 1 week, they gave her admission. That's how simple their life here is. They gave her admission. In fact, they even asked her that, oh, we saw that you applied to this course. Do you know, yeah, I mean, do you have knowledge in statistics? Do you have knowledge in biology? Can you explain more? Like they will message you, send you message, like interact with you so easily. And from there, she explained that, oh, I have knowledge in biology. I've done this in my bachelor. And she explained herself. After that, after clarity, they gave her admission. And that's it.
All right. So
It's
thank you so
that's
much, Victoria. So we have a common platform for applications in the Netherlands, which is the study link, and we also have O series as well. Maybe after you got the admission or thereabout, you set up an account on O series. But because of our time, we are almost 1 hour, and we are even yet to get into the scholarship application part itself. Working David, maybe in 1 minute, what do you think are the common mistakes that applicant makes during this admission phase? Like maybe because I have someone that's applied for admission maybe since November and is yet to get the admission up till now. So what do you think could be the cause for delay or possibly not getting admission?
Okay, yeah. So, of course, there are many factors, but usually when people submit an application, they look at the fit, of course, look at your background, that's why your transcript is also important, motivation, your CV. So it's possible that maybe the department is still making like consultations. Okay, do we let this person in? Okay, maybe let's see how the admissions go with other people who they feel might be more capable to fit in, because they also look at, okay, these are the courses you'll be taking in the masters. If this person is admitted, hope it won't be like a struggle or something like that. So that's just me saying I'm not in the admission committee, so I don't know why, but your documents just have to be complete. Read in between the lines, check and make sure that you meet the specific program specific requirements if there are any. And even on StudyLink, for instance, I know when I was also applying to Wageningen, I got a big stock because I didn't understand the Dutch system. They have the HBO, you have the WO. And when I was filling in, I was confused. Do I feel HBO, which is applied universities, or do I feel
Yes.
WO, which is research universities like Wageningen? So I know I got stuck there a bit, and I feel WO just because I don't know why. Just to be honest, I just feel it, and I just put WO because I felt okay. And then I spoke with someone afterwards, and then she said, yeah, it was WO I was supposed to put. So all these small things. If you're not clear about any step, if you're unsure, please, as they said, ssc at world.nl. They reply rapidly. So don't make any assumptions about any process if you're not clear about it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just think we need to highlight that even as we are talking about the admission process. Quickly, Joshua, let's go into the scholarship part of the application because I know we've talked about the admission for too long. So, what do you think? What are the several funding opportunities that Wageningen has to offer for international students? Like, can you outline the main scholarship categories that we have?
Okay. I think primarily there are, well, there are multiple fundings, but most of the fundings are partial, except for the major ones, which are the ABF and the ASP scholarship. Um, so the ASP scholarship I would start with is the African Scholarship Program. Very important to note is that, like I usually say, every student that is handed that scholarship, it's not a gift, right? It's a scholarship, not it's not a gift. So every student that is handed that funding, you are basically an investment by proxy into Africa, right? It's like saying $100,000 is not so much. It doesn't do a lot for Nigeria, for example, but can we use this to develop human capital that can then do something in Nigeria? If you have this at the back of your mind and you write your documents with it with this mindset, it helps you. So that's the ASP scholarship. So it's usually targeted towards Africa, and I think there is about 10 positions each year, if I'm not mistaken, about 10 positions yearly. And then there is the ABF scholarship. The ABF is not particularly targeted towards Africa, but I think the general idea is low income countries. So sometimes I think I've also seen Indonesian students and a few other countries from, I think, Southeast Asia on the ABF funding, but it's also a full scholarship like the ASP, maybe with a few additional perks. The ABF funding, maybe with a few additional perks. But it covers basically the same thing as the ASP, right? Just the same thing, the entire cost of your study. And that's why I think Wageningen is a school that you should target if you really think you don't have the financial source. Wageningen does not give you a scholarship and you still need $5,000 for flights and this and that. When it's the full funding options, they take it down to everything. So you are not owing debt that when you arrive you cannot concentrate on your study, you need to pay back some debt. Other than that, there is also the excellence scholarship program. I think that is not for any specific audience. It's generally targeted at a lot of people, but the funding for that is just about 50% or thereabout, if I can remember, or something. The school fees for Wageningen is high. I think it's about 20K yearly for a 2 years masters. That's about 40K in school fees alone. So if you think that, then half of that is still like 20K in school fees. So are you still able to afford it after that? If yes, then you may stand a chance with that. But I'm not so sure that many people can afford that. So that's why majorly the two expectations are usually ABF and ASP. And like I said, but maybe I should reiterate, neither of these scholarships is applied to. You are invited to it. So it means that when you're applying, you have to already know that you're applying to those scholarships. It's not mentioned anywhere in your documents, but you have to make your first application with that level of preparedness that you're competing to be invited for those scholarships. That's where it all starts. I usually advise don't mention that you're applying to ABF or ASP on your documents. However, if you're applying to the award, these are things you should know, not mentioning it, but you should know that you should add, for example, you should add a statement of purpose. For example, if you're just looking for admission, some students do not add that, but you should. You should also add letters of recommendation. Now, if you are doing the application generally, you may not find the space for that. But what you should do is to merge those documents in a single PDF file. And there is always a space that is always available for like additional supporting documents. In that space for supporting documents, you should have in a single PDF file every other document that you think can aid your application, that were not required in the previous fields, right? Because there are always fields to upload specific things, but every other thing that can aid your application that were not required in those fields should be merged in a order of priority, in a way you want them to see it first. Okay, I want them to see my SOP and then my letters of recommendation. If I've also done some very, very important courses that prepares me for this field and I want them to see the certificates, you can add it. So I think those are the scholarships that are available. ASP and ABF are majorly the fully funded ones, generally at least. So it's good to know that those are the ones that are available to you for full funding. You cannot apply to them, like I said earlier. You are invited. So please, when you're making your application, make the application that this is your competition to be invited, if that makes any sense.
All right, thank you so much. Joshua, for the detailed breakdown. Sorry, I'm trying to fix something here, so you might notice I'm a little bit distracted. Thank you so much for the clarity. So the main two scholarships that we'll be focusing on is going to be the ABF and the ASP this evening. So I just want Victoria to pick it up from there. I know you already mentioned one or two things, but maybe Victoria can give us a bit of details about what are the key requirements for this scholarship and what does it actually entails, like in terms of the funding, the stipend benefits, and maybe you can mention briefly the as well. So we are going to go in detail, but just to give us a brief overview in addition to what Joshua has mentioned.
Okay, Joshua really spoke a lot about the scholarship aspect, but basically for the ASP, which is the African Scholarship Program, once you have been nominated, because everybody that applied, I guess, will be invited for any of the scholarship opportunity available. It can be an ASP, it can be a ABF. If you are identified from the Africans region, so, and always there's something I really found very interesting is that most people that got invited, they often don't know when they get invited. So they kind of forget to check their email if you are nominated or invited for the assignments. It's called an assignment for the scholarship. So for me, I was invited for the African Scholarship Program, and the assignment is very simple but precise. They give you a question. I mean, they give you a file to work on the assignment for 2 weeks. So the assignment is break down into two, which is you write a research proposal and you write a motivation letter with several different questions, which you have to answer on the frame of on the word frame, which they will mention in the assignment note. So for the research proposal, it's basically going to be like whatever. I mean, it's going to be like think of something unique. I don't know. For my time, they asked me to write a MSc thesis research of 700 words, like a research proposal that I think is suitable for my program, which is in development and rural innovation. So I need to think out, and they ask you to be very creative with whatever solutions you are trying to bring. So it's more or less like bringing out your creative idea, creative innovation, your real self. I mean, what problem you are really trying to solve in your community. So I had to think around what problem I really want to solve, and it must fit the program in which you are applying to. For me, I'm planning to development and rural innovation, so I need to look around my rural community and see what real problem that we are facing and how can I solve it. And that was what my research was about. And afterward, I have to answer some personal questions, which is why do you think you deserve the scholarship? What makes you an excellent student? If you don't get the scholarship, what will you do? So those are the kind of questions you need to, I mean, they will ask you that you need to answer, and you must be very creative in your writing. You must write in a way that they are seeing that it is you that you are writing, not some other kind
That's
of it is you that is writing. Like, it is you that is writing, not robot. Yeah. So that's basically the assignment of a scholarship. And what makes you unique is what you share with them.
Yeah, thank
And
you
from
so much
there,
for
they
that.
will ask you for, they will invite you for the interview, and you also elaborate to see if it is you that wrote what you say.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Maybe I'll throw the next question to King David to just share more insight about the ABF scholarship. So I believe Joshua and Victoria have done justice to the ASP. And Victoria, I'm not sure. Have you answered the funding benefit for ASP?
Ah, the funding benefit is they will give you a um, um, fully funded academic for the period of your studies, which is 2 years. You don't have to know the price; it's way beyond what I can afford, and and they'll give you a monthly stipends of 1,200, 1,225 euro per month. For my scholarship, I have the opportunity to go to conferences. Like they can sponsor any conferences in Europe, which I found interesting. I would like to go. They also fund that. And they also say that don't worry about your flights, just come with your bag. Come with your bag. Don't worry. Just if you don't have any clothes, don't worry. Just come with yourself. And they'll pay your flight ticket. And when you wish to go back to your country after your program, they'll say, don't worry, I mean, give the knowledge you gained here, go back to your country. If you wish, and if you don't wish, just like mine.
All right, so that's a very good one. Just to let you know that this scholarship are like what motoring scholarship. It covers everything: your health insurance, your flight, your visa, everything. So when they say something is fully funded, I mean everything is covered for you. King David, let us know more about ABF scholarship. How does it actually differs to ASP? Maybe in terms of the eligibility, the selection criteria, and even the funding itself.
So the ABF is actually they're all part of the university fund, but ABF focuses more on the development, just like Joshua said, in low-income countries. And from my own observations, I think they are not so keen about, oh, you need to have 80% in your bachelor's, right? So ASP, you need to have 80% and above. That means you have to be a first class at using the Nigerian terminology. You need to have like a first class or cum laude from your bachelor's. But ABF, I think ABF mostly looks at the potential. And it's basically from how the documents we mentioned, the documents we spoke about, what you propose, and then the impact it's going to have in your country or in your community. So, for instance, when I was writing mine, it was about designing biorefineries for Africa, and then the research proposal and everything I wrote was just so well detailed, and I gave like a clear pathway to how the development would unfold over the years. So discussing with other ABF scholars, it was also something I discovered. It's always impact based. So ABF focuses on what is this person going to do after the studies, and is it something that will apply directly? It's interesting to know that during the application process, I was applying for ASP. I thought that was because we're all also invited to do the assignments. We did the same assignments. In fact, my email mentioned that I was applying for the African Scholars Program. But then when the results came out, that's after the interview and everything, I saw ABF and I was like, ABF, I didn't even know about ABF. I even had a friend who didn't, he didn't follow the whole process. They contacted him directly. I think he applied for a program in Wageningen. He got admission. There was no invitation. They just sent in an email directly because the way ABF works is, let's say a professor has this amount of money and he says, okay, I want a student in this field, in animal science, or somebody that studies something I worked on. So maybe somebody, a professor in a field, just says, okay, I want somebody in my own field. Just find me a bright student that has an idea that applies, that contributes to development in low-income countries. And so this friend of mine did not even do an assignment. He didn't do anything. He told me, he just looked at his email and they told him, do you want his scholarship? Um, so I'm not saying you should not do the whole thing of, okay, submitting your CV, or try and make your application as solid as possible. For me, I thought I was going for the ASP, but I think what I wrote and what I gave as the solution I wanted to solve in Africa made them consider me for ABF. So that's just the slight. So ABF, because in part of the benefits, they don't give us. I knew during my time we didn't have like the conference benefits and stuff, because they are more looking at, okay, somebody, maybe you have worked in an NGO or something. That was also my experience. I worked in an NGO, so I could show this grassroots connection. So even in my writing, it was more of, okay, Africa will get better because we invest in this person. So I think that's just the slight difference with ABF, the development aspect. But the benefits largely, it's comparable, except like the conference I know in my own letter, I didn't have like the benefit to go for a conference. Although eventually when I had a conference that I thought was beneficial for me, I motivated it to them and then they supported me towards it as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, King David. So this is just to let you guys know that at times you might even be, because I hardly find it difficult to be able to differentiate the application process for ASV and APF. That's just the truth. So it's mostly similar in most cases, and you just get nominated for one of the two in as much as you are qualified for that scholarship. And if favor is upon you, just like you mentioned it, you can also get the scholarship without having to do all this assignment as well. So yeah, it's not a one-way fit all option, something like that. So it's just you from the start trying to make sure that you submit a quality application. So that's the most important thing. Okay, I want us to dwell more about the essays and the interview. I don't know, King David, is there any interview process for ABF as well?
Yeah, I also had an
Okay,
interview.
all right. We'll come back to that. So let's start with the essays. I think Victoria already mentioned the four questions and the research proposal. And I want Joshua to actually pick it up from there. How would you advise applicants to actually approach these four essays? Maybe from your own practical experience and maybe others that you've also mentored and they have been able to get the scholarship as well. So let's talk about the four-part essay and maybe we can go ahead into the proposal.
Okay. Oh, first, I think my first advice usually is when you get invited, at least in my own books, maybe I'm making that judgment based on my own success rate. I think you're 50% in when you get invited. I think so. But it starts from not writing, it starts from reading, in my opinion. If you're invited, don't just jump into answering the questions, writing the essays. First thing I usually ask is go and read your documents, the one that got you invited. Go back and read those CV, those SOP, those recommendation letters, because there is something that CV, that recommendation letter, that SOP pointed to, and they got interested in that person. So the moment you write and they are seeing another person, it's already a big turn off. I know sometimes one of the temptations is that between when you submitted and now that you have invited, that you are invited, of course, we're humans, we keep learning and growing. So you have likely, come across some more seemingly innovative ideas, some more groundbreaking ideas that you think you can sell. While I'm not saying you should discard that, I'm saying the first point is to go back and read those documents so that there is not a disconnect from what you sent to them and what you have turned in initially. Now, having internalized those documents, yeah, that's the word, the ones you first submitted, having internalized them, you now have to start picking the questions one after the other, the questions that I think they tweak yearly but still centers around the same thing anyways. So I cannot give you a guarantee that, oh, this is what you'll be asked. They tweak it yearly, but it still centers around the same thing. First is for example, what makes you stand out, because now we have a ton of qualified applicants, right? So what makes you stand out beyond the grades? Especially these days, grades are everywhere. Schools are churning out, deserving anyway, thousands of first class. But beyond that, can you give us an excuse why in deleting the names we can still keep you in? So those are the things you have to think of. What makes me stand out as a person beyond this grade? If my certificate is taken away, who am I? What am I contributing, or what do I intend to contribute? So when you state that things, and that can involve, for example, your volunteering experience, um, don't everything becomes useful at that point. Even that SUG role, what innovative thing did you do in that position? That NYC position you held, what did you do? Those things become very useful at that point, provided you know how to sell your story. I think that's one of the questions. Secondly is also something about your future aspirations, right? Um, Maybe I'll just be mentioning multiple things. So I'll divide it into how you should answer, pitfalls to avoid. I think those two ways is easy. So questions on your future, how to answer is to, now you don't, the fact that they are saying this is an investment by proxy in Africa does not mean everyone should say, oh, when I'm done, I'm just going to return to be a lecturer, a faculty researcher in Africa. In fact, for me, one of the selling points is if that's your idea, fine, use it. But I try to abstain from what most people would do. So first, I think in terms of what will most people do, then can I think differently? So yeah, it helps you to stand out from crowds in a way. So think whatever your answer is, but the pitfall usually for most people is that they just answer that question. They say what they want to do for the future. Um, and that's not a nice way to answer it. That information becomes complete when you go further ahead to say, this is what I want to do for the future. This is what I've been doing, and this is how Wageningen comes in. That's usually how I think that question should be answered. So I want to be this. I'm doing this and this currently, but based on my current level of knowledge, there is this skill gap, there is this knowledge gap. Establish it, right? Establish that gap and describe to them that how Wageningen fills that vacuum for you. So for me, it was about breeding. I remember, for example, so I said, I want to breed for crops in Africa, right? I have the expertise in classical breeding, but a classic breeding project can take about 6 to 7 years, depending on even the life cycle of the crop, right? But I think with more skills in modeling, bioinformatics, and molecular tools, I can break this down to 2 to 3 years, right? To work on a breeding project, to come up with a new variety, to come up with some new disease resistance. So that looked sellable, right? So the answer was even the same answer everyone gives, that I want to be a researcher afterwards. But then I go ahead to state that this is what I've been currently doing, because at the time I was involved in some research. And then I show them the gap that based on the expertise, I'm lacking expertise in this and this and this. And that's how Wageningen feels it. So those are how you go about those questions. Those are the pitfalls. The pitfall is to just answer what they are asking for without giving any necessary supporting information. How do you know what supporting information is still necessary? Every time you read your document and it still leaves the question, how? Why? For example, I what do you want to do in the future? And I say I want to do this, but I don't answer a how. Okay, you want to do this, but how? Right? You will see that in answering the how, you have to say how Wageningen will equip you with this and this and this to do it. So always look at your documents and look, is this still leaving those questions? How? Why? I want to do this. I want to improve food security in Africa. How? If you always ask those questions, your documents will almost be as good as perfect. Ensure that those questions are answered. How, what, why? As far as you don't leave those blanks, I think you are good for those 4 questions.
All right. Thank you so much for the detailed breakdown. And I think it's very, I love the way you actually break it down, like look into your past or your academic background, find the knowledge gap, and see how Wageningen can help you fit in. And I know most people have this cliche of like, okay, when I'm done, I'll go back to my home country. Yes, you will go back, but what do you want to do that is going to make you stand out from what other people are trying to do out there? So it's very important. I don't know. There is a very sensitive question in that 4 essay. Like, if you are not given the scholarship, what will you do? I was
Oh,
thinking if you
interesting.
can
Yes.
help us take the question home. Although I know our time is fast spent, but this is the key
Yeah.
part of this series. So I don't know if you can highlight this part of the
Okay.
question.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's not just your previous documents. It's also important that when you are answering those questions, you realize that, in fact, it's nice to answer in such a way that if they remove the questions, all your answers can be made into a single essay with different paragraphs. No disconnects, right? So it's not something to think too hard on. I said that to imply that when you're asked that question, not every year it comes, but if it comes, I guess is what we're trying to say now, that you should look. For example, I have said that this is what I'm currently doing, okay, and I've said that this is what I want to do. So if Wageningen does not happen, usually the best way to answer that question is to say um, what else can I be doing in the present that still advances that course. Okay, so for example, for me, it was breeding, and I did mention that if Wageningen did not happen, what I will be seeking to do is to find an internship with an organization like IITA that collaborates with Wageningen a lot and works on a lot of tropical crops. So they can tell that it's not just that you're desperate for scholarship, there is really something ongoing. So for everyone, I think there would always be something. For example, I want to work on, I had once read this essay on someone that wants to work on something related to water technology, right? And for him, his justification was, well, if I don't get this at present, one of my current ideas is this. It was, I think he was developing some sort of machines and stuff, and his idea was we are going to still take it for a test run in that community and gather data on how well whatever they were developing worked, right? While still hoping for opportunities to bridge that skill gap. It's also always important to mention that you will still be looking for opportunities to bridge that skill gap. I mean, just in case you are not selected this time, it leaves room for next time, because I've indeed seen people that got in on their second attempt, right? So, and Wageningen does not forget you. Trust me, they don't forget you. So it leaves room. So, in summary, to keep it because of time, the question should always be, I've mentioned something that I'm currently doing to them. What presently, apart from Wageningen, advances that course? That's always how to answer that question.
Okay. Yeah, that's very key. Thank you so much. You've done justice to it. So I think for anyone that gets nominated and you try to watch this session back, I believe you should be able to craft those essays in such a way that it flows into a storyline. You are saying four things, but it's like you are saying the same thing in four different ways. So please take note of that. Victoria, can you walk us through the research proposal aspect? Because those are the two assignments, if I'm right, that is being requested for the ASP scholarship. I'm coming to the ABF, but I'm just trying to see how we can fasten up this part of the series. So can you walk us through your research proposal? What are the key things that people need to take note when writing the research proposal?
Okay. For the research proposal, I think for my own field, I I kind of look at what Wageningen is really keen about, which is sustainability. And one of the sustainability, I looked at the issue of climate, issue of trying to reduce waste, and a lot of things. So I I try to look for problems that is similar that we are trying to resolve in our country, which is in Nigeria, which I came from. And for me, I'm very keen to waste management, how we can reduce waste, the agricultural waste. That was exactly what my interest was basically when I was back in Nigeria, even during that time. So I look at the problem my program is trying to solve, the gap I'm trying to work towards, what I'm trying to learn from this. I mean, what ways are the solutions I'm trying to solve? So the research proposal is just, in fact, they gave how you should write it. They gave you write a research problem statement. I think I opened. Let me try to. So they gave organize a research proposal in which you talk about the background, which is basically the problem statement. What is the problem the African space is facing? Think deeply and not just anyhow problem. Now in Nigeria, we are facing security issues, bandits. That's a very big issue that they're trying to solve. Even here in Europe, trying to solve how we can solve such kind of such type of problem. If your program is around that space of looking for the security aspect, how we can solve, how we can bring innovations to the security bandit issue, robbery issue, how we can think about pressing issues. The political aspect is in a lot of issues right now. There's a lot of problem right now. How can we bring innovative idea? That is just a research. It's just a research trying to study something and think of ways we can solve them. So talk about the problem. Then after that, objectives. What are the approaches you want to use to solve this problem? Then afterward, you now describe the conceptual situations of this problem. You write it. Then from there, you generate your research questions or your objectives. Then afterward, I'm from the social science space, so I deal a lot with theory, with which is it different action theory or whatever theory you think can be used to solve this problem. So it's just chronological because I think they also give ways. I mean, they give the steps in which you can start to write this research proposal, and these are things you should follow. And if you don't have knowledge about it, you read papers, read articles that like scientific articles that can help you to structure how this scientific books is being written. from there you can generate knowledge. And also one thing you should note, when you are writing research proposal, always put references, I think. And one thing that is very key, try to look for recent papers. That is, recent papers that is, things that is not 1990 something reference. Look for recent papers that has been, I mean, research papers that has been done within what you are trying to solve. So these are the things that they will boost that, oh, this person's writing is recent, is not something that has not is not a backlog or something. So try to solve problem that is pressing at this time, and also aligning your um to your course which you want to study, which you apply to. And that's from there, it's a win actually. I don't know. It's a big win.
All right. So thank you so much for that. So it's very important, just like you said. It's just the same way, maybe for your bachelor's. So I know most people might not be familiar with the academic system here, but just take the instance of your bachelor's thesis, the way you have a problem statement or a research background, you have a objective research question, and you also have like a brief methods to which you want to achieve that goal. So it's very important. And I think the max is 2 pages, or how many pages, Victoria?
It's a 700 words, very short.
Okay, so you can see they are
700,
not expecting you to
yeah.
submit a PhD research
So,
proposal. You are coming in for a master's program, so it's something that is very brief, and you just need to. If you are not sure about it, you can always reach out to one of them. They are. I'm already out of the space for Wageningen, but yeah, do your assignment first. Make sure you understand the whole process, because over time we just want to jump ahead. So in case you are stuck at any point, you can reach out to any of these guys on LinkedIn and they can put you through. Maybe finally, for I'm coming to King David for ABF, but I want Joshua to answer this as regards the interview session. What should maybe they've scaled through the admission, the scholarship process, then they get back to you for interview. What exactly should applicant prepare for when trying to put things together for the interview, the technical setup, appearance, and everything, the tone, language? Just give us a breakdown for the interview session.
Okay, well, thank you for that question. I think that's the part where I call 90% done. Well, at least I believe so strongly. Because first, the competition is stiffer, but there are fewer people at that place, meaning that you have fewer people to beat to clinch a position. Again, like I always say, go back to all your documents. There is something they've not seen you, right? So there's no prejudice there. If you're invited, it means there is something or someone they have seen in the application. They got interested in that person and sent you the essay to answer to compete in the second round. They also got convinced by that person, right? And now they are pitching an interview to you. It means they are likely already convinced. It's usually two parts, at least I think. Most times, well, I'm not saying the decision has been made pre the interview, but I'm saying that they are in one of these two positions. Either they already think that this person is a convincing candidate, or they are at this position where they think this is like a candidate who might likely drop. They will be in one of those two states, right? So don't just only go there enough to prove that you are that person that wrote those documents. Beyond that, you also want to elaborate on the things that you have said. But how will you elaborate if you have not internalized? So again, it starts from going back, internalize. Like I say, if you have to choose the date for the interview, which is what is good enough for Wageningen, right? They send you a number of dates and they ask you to choose. Start by choosing what is comfortable enough for you that gives you time to prepare. Internalize those documents. Once you've read and internalized, I always want against cramming answers. If we prepped together, I would always tell you don't cram interview response, because it's more like a Dutch cultural thing. Even though it's an interview, it's not extremely formal. In fact, they start with questions that helps you to relax. Sometimes they start about your own country and things like that because they want you to relax. But note that the fact that you are relaxed does not mean it's an informal meeting. It just stays somewhere there, formal but not extremely formal. So it means that set the tone, be properly dressed like someone that's going for an interview. Maybe not on suits, but get a nice shirt on. For me, I usually think there are things you can't go wrong with. For something like this, for example, a sweater. because I'm just going to be half. You almost never go wrong with them. So just get a nice sweater or a shirt on. Don't be too tense, and it starts with that dressing. So don't put up a tie and you're adjusting it every couple of minutes. Also, importantly, in this age where there is a lot of AI help, you may think it doesn't count, but keep your eyes on the camera. Keep your eyes on the camera throughout your interview. And then develop, instead of cramming answers, I used to say develop answering strategies, right? And practice until it becomes something you can do on the spot, which is what I try to do each time, to put candidates to the sword with the toughest kind of questions until they are convenient on the spot to come up with strategies. What do I mean by strategy? For example, each time you're asked a question, come up with topic sentences. So for example, if you are asked that so how will this scholarship help you, right? Don't just go into the talking, because if you go into the talking without a flow, mid sentence you remember things you should have said and all your statement looks unorganized. So I always say, on top of your head, come up with a structure. So for example, if they ask me what would the scholarship do for me, I'm going to tell them what I plan to do, the gap that exists, how the scholarship will help me achieve it. If they ask me how I stand out from other students, I'm going to first tell them what puts me on par with other students. I'll tell them about my excellent grades, but I would also tell them about, for example, my adaptability. You may not think it counts, but it counts, because I've seen more than 3, 4 students, not Africans anyway, just question me like, I was the best student in my school. Why am I failing in Wageningen? And you realize that sometimes issues as little as adaptability affect
Gap that
students.
exists, how the scholarship will help me achieve it. If they ask me how I stand
Sorry,
out,
there's a buffering. I'm starting to hear myself again. I guess it's a technical issue. Okay. So you see things like that. Sometimes is as little as proving your adaptability can set you apart, right? So instead of thinking, oh, I have a first class, I have 10 publications and others may not have it. If you come up with a structure, it helps you to say, well, when they say, how do I stand out from others? I'll tell them how I have the good grades, but I'm also adaptable. So that creates a clear structure for your speech, and then you can go on to talk. Also, something about Wageningen that you should know is that if you're asked a question and you just didn't, sometimes they get you. You can tell on the spot that, "Oh, they got me with this question." Then that's the time to just say, "Can I take a second to think about it?" And just take it's calm. Just take some 30 seconds to think of a calm response in your mind and respond. But ultimately, you set the pace for your interview. That one thing I'll never forget. You can determine how your interview will go. If you want it to be tense, you can keep giving all the professional answers and all the professional jargons that makes them keep probing you further. But if you want it to be relaxed, you can as well give the relaxed responses that helps them keep you relaxed. Maybe I should also go back to it. Now I didn't put structure to my own word, so I'm going back. That's something that shouldn't happen to you in your interview. Is that your documents already set the pace for your interview? I usually call them like some test traps. When you're writing, you can already write certain things in your document that you think would get them interested. They would want to probe further in your interview. So ahead of the interview, those things you can already prepare for them. And I'll cite an example of something that was a sorry case for me, anyways, in an interview I recently failed at. Right, I put a very interesting research concept, very very interesting, in my document that I had written pre-hand, right, and that document scaled to the interview, and then I failed the interview, but because the interviewer was someone I knew, I could ask um, for a one-on-one feedback, and she said that, well, to be honest, she had this number of applicants, and this research concept was the only reason your application stood out to me. But then in the interview, I asked you to elaborate further on it, and apparently you had not read the relevant papers. So did you see how the whole thing builds up? That pick your documents, don't just read it, internalize it. The interview is not about anything else. They're already convinced at that point, right? They're not coming to ask you for a new research idea, a new anything. So if you recommended a research idea, read about it, know the relevant papers, be able to prove that that problem is a problem, because sometimes they tease you with it, just trying to be sure that it's actually a problem. Okay. Um, and then that's so that you understand the basics of everything you have pitched to them. And ultimately, when you get to the final part where you should ask them a question, I don't think you should throw that part away. You always look like, oh, we're already wrapping up. But do you have any question for us? If you just say no question, okay, bye. But it's not usually a good way to wrap up your interview. There are always innovative questions you can come up with. Anything at all. For example, I mean, I've seen students ask, for example, how relevant is understanding the Dutch culture to studying in Wageningen, and then they will tell you, the normal answers that the program is in English and this, and language should not be a barrier if you understand English properly. But it's also a good time to give them extra points. That's the part where you tell them, oh, you've been practicing your Dutch on Duolingo. That simple statement can be the difference between you and someone else that is tied on another point, right? And they think, oh, this person is ready to adapt into the culture. That simple statement can be why they judge that this one will be a better, not a more brilliant student, but a better candidate. It will be able to cope, right? So don't always throw away any opportunity to give the extra point. I remember from my own interview, I controlled it to the point that when they asked the question, the final question, they all chorused the answer. I would never forget. It was such an interesting moment. So when they got to the final point and they said, "Who is your mentor?" The other three that didn't ask the question chorused the answer because I had kept mentioning my mentor's name, and that's how you give the flow to your interview. Because I kept mentioning my mentor's name, how she studied in Wageningen, how Wageningen equipped her to be doing this kind of research in her country. So I already set the tone. Half the time they were asking me about her work, about this, how do I think I'll be able to adapt what she's doing to the local situation in my country because it's not exactly the same country and those kind of things. So don't forget those things. Go back, internalize your documents. Now I'm summarizing. Internalize your documents. Ensure any gap, especially when you yourself look at your document and you now know that there are gaps. Those are the places they are waiting for you in your interview. Ensure you have prepared correct response, not crammed ones, but internalized response to address those gaps. Don't throw away the opportunity to ask them questions. Don't throw away every opportunity to say something extra about yourself. It could be the defining point in the end. And finally, set the pace. Set the pace. Like I always say, if you have to practice it, practice it. Keep that smile. No matter how bad that interview is going, keep that smile on. You don't know the question, keep the smile. You know the answer, keep the smile. They got you, you can tell that they've gotten me. Interviews get to that part. Keep the smile. The smile masks all your. I'm saying this because I know things that, of course, I cannot divulge here because even if we're on a webinar, they are not there are informations about the persons conducting them, even though sometimes I think the personalities also change. But I know it's one of the points that I looked out for. At least that's the most I can say to you. That body language says a lot to them about your confidence and everything. Some people are nervous, some people are not confident, some people are a lot of things. Bottom line is a smile marks everything. They don't know if you are confused. They don't know if you know the answer. They don't know if you know it. Just keep that smile
All
throughout the interview.
right. Thank you so much. Because I know if we leave it to Joshua, maybe we are going to spend another extra hour here. And I know most of the time we just want to keep it to 1 hour, 30 minutes, but we've overlapped our times. But please, if you have questions, just keep dropping it in the comment section. We are rounding up already. I just want to hear from King David about the scholarship application process. And just like he mentioned earlier, he applied for ASP. So I'm not expecting something different from what the other two people have mentioned, but just to hear his own point of view, because yeah, maybe he wrote a different story or something entirely. So King David, like maybe in just few minutes, can you tell us about what you actually put into your application? Maybe either you can choose to focus more on the essays or the interview or the research proposal that you think is going to be beneficial to our audience out there.
Okay, so I wouldn't, of course, everything Victoria and Joshua already mentioned is there's nothing more to add except that from my own experience, when I reflected on the whole process, I think there was, from the onset, everything was clear for me. So even if you woke me in the middle of the night to talk about my topic, to talk about, it was something that was already brooding inside me. I already, so whether Wageningen, whether any other university, it was already something that I was very, very passionate about. And I think that's something they want to see. One of us here mentioned the potential. So you don't have to be, well, at least I know for ABF, you don't have to be 80% first classer, but that potential. So I was pivoting. So I took courses, I did projects, I went on summer school, summer trainings, and everything was clear. So they could see a clear trajectory. And I could speak about all those things because every step of the way I was engaged in them and I was myself. So the fact that I was that person who was very passionate about that topic, it already gave me a very, like I was already confident going into the interview. So even when I was writing, of course, you need help with structuring your ideas because sometimes when you're very passionate about something as well, you can go in many directions. So I reached out to people to help me with the writing. But my own advice is just be yourself because one key thing when I was there was my NGO experience during the interview as well. Oh, we talked about everything, but somebody was like, "Oh, you work in an NGO. What do you do there?" Of course, it's something I do every day. So um, I just spoke about it. So just be yourself. Don't throw anything. Don't think anything is not important. Be passionate about your topic. Everything should be clear about where you want to go. This is what you want to do, and just have it. Just as they said, read. It should be something that should come naturally about you. You should know what is happening in the field. You should know what is happening in the topic. You should know everything in and out so that even if it's just a random discussion, this is the same way you would approach it. And then when you have that mindset, the interview wouldn't be another thing. But I was a bit nervous because technical issues. I also had technical glitches. So I'll just put that out there that when you're preparing, and they already understand, our own context in Africa with the whole problem. So I was already, I was already, on edge when I came in because MTN was playing me back and forth and everything. But they understood that, and then they just gave me those first few minutes to calm down, to talk. So these people are not here to, judge you. They want to get to know you. They understand the context. Some of them have already worked in Africa for many years, so they already know what is. So just understand that you're here to meet people who just want the best for you, and yeah, just be yourself.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Maybe in 1 minute, I'm yet to get questions in the comment section, but I'm going to go through it right now. But maybe on that interview part, maybe Victoria will want to also share her own experience in 1 minute. Victoria.
Okay, I think for me, it's also similar to what they also experienced. For me, I didn't even have a video interview. I had a phone call. They called me on my normal or on my MTN line to do the interview. I never had a face-to-face interview actually because the network was bad. So and they understood and they called me and we had the interview online on the phone on phone call. And it's also just what I mean, basically it's just what your research because I think they are more interested in the research you wrote about. So they want to hear more about it and they want to know if this research is actually visible because they see how interesting it is. That is why they called you for the interview. And they want you to also talk about it because of course if you propose a research, you need to explain it to them in a way that this research you planned to do is possible. And for me too, my research was even about waste products, how we can turn agricultural waste products to something useful. And they were like, "Is it possible?" I'm like, "It is possible. Just let me do this." I was giving them life that yes, my research was viable and it is something that can be invested in if you give me this opportunity. Just prove yourself, be confident, try to I was also nervous too, but after a while, I was able to. They were able to, you know, calm my nerves, and I was able to express myself. And afterward, they asked me what makes me unique, my experiences. I also had experience in NGO. I've worked in SDG group before, so I bring this knowledge. That's why you can just you cannot be idle and say you want to earn this kind of scholarship. You must be doing something. You must be doing something relevant. You can't just say even if you are in school, you must join association that contributes to the society, not just coming out of school, no experience, no NGO, no program, nothing. You're just okay, just the first class you have. I don't think you're suit. You need to share the experience you had with community development that you've had, even though you're NYC. During my NYC, I had the opportunity to intern with SDG advocacy, and that was where I got my interest from. And from there, it built up, and that was the experience I had to share. And they accept it because you are contributing to the society. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much to our speakers. I think you've been able to do a lot of justice. We might not be able to cover, I have a lot of questions still there, but because of our time, I'm just going to wrap it up at this very junction and we'll go into the questions, like the comment section to take questions. So thank you so much to everyone. That this is like 1 hour 45 minutes, and I still see a lot of people joining on YouTube and LinkedIn. Thank you for your time and for making sure to stay with us till this very end. Thank you so much. I appreciate your patience out there. I see a lot of talks about IELTS, and I think we've addressed it over and over and over and over. So I'm just going from the beginning, like, but then you can't use your medium of instruction. Yes, Oluwaseun, you can't use it. So I think that is the concern. Somebody was asking about the stipend. We've answered that 1,200 and something. So that's a very huge money. You can convert it to naira, but don't bring the naira mindset when you are coming to Wageningen anyway. So that's a very good one there. I also put out the link for the SSC that you can actually reach out to. Okay, somebody is complimenting Joshua here. Yeah, he's a very good orator. How do I call him? Joshua, yeah, thank you so much, Fit, for that. I'm trying to look into, somebody is asking that any hint for PhD scholarships. I know we are mostly focused on masters at the moment, but I don't know if Joshua wants to talk on this or King David.
No, I think we all have the same experience with it, but King can share more because I'm still new to the after graduation life.
Well, for the PhDs, it's usually the university has a vacancy portal. So here, PhDs are also treated as a full-time staff. So you can go to word.nl vacancies. You can just type it on Google, word.nl, or just Wageningen University PhD positions, and then you can go to the vacancies there. You can even subscribe, create an email alert so that each time there's a PhD vacancy, it pops up. And then for general in the Netherlands, there's also a website, academictransfer.nl. So all the universities in the Netherlands also put up PhD vacancies there. So it's also a platform where you can go and check for PhD. So PhD link, the requirements, of course, the next step, you need to have your master's. And I know for PhDs, it's slightly with the whole English requirements. It's also kind of, it's required there, but you have to, maybe if you did your master's in somewhere like Wageningen, then you don't need an English requirement. So you did in the UK or somewhere else, then once you have a master's degree, at least from what I read, it doesn't, you don't need the requirement because, as I said, you're not coming in as a full student. You're already kind of seen as a staff or a researcher. So the requirements are a bit different, but your diploma is standard. Your passport is also standard. Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you so much. I hope you guys are noting all these links, all these websites. You mentioned, I wasn't even aware of that one, academictransfer.nl. So yeah, like you said, PhD is like a job in Wageningen. So you just need to go to the website and see for the requirements for yourself. So somebody is asking, what is the minimum grade qualification for admission? Victoria, do you want to take this? I don't know, because I was saying that for ASP, some people are saying that first class is the requirement, but I don't know if that's the case. So maybe you want to enlighten us more about that.
Okay, yeah. I also had the initial thought that it's for first class. I never had a first class. I had a second class, but I had a 4 points, the 4 pointer kind of thing. So when I've also seen a two one. Having, I think so. I think someone among us also have a 2-1 and they got in. So it's basically the way um you express your essay and position yourself. It doesn't really, I mean, there's no grade qualifications. The first class is just a kind of glimpse to see that, oh, we want the best, but don't lower yourself, believe in yourself, apply it, first apply for the admission. If they give you, that means that you have something in you that they see. So don't make the fact that, oh, I have a 2-1. I cannot say for a third class, but at least for a 2-1, or someone that has already have a experience in the field they want to study, shoot your shot. Don't feel low because you have a low grade. No, write the motivation, tell them why you think you are best. Even if you have a low grade, give your reason. So I don't always make the fact that you have a low grade and you will now push yourself away. No, you have
Yeah.
something in you, so try as much as possible. If you don't try, yeah, then you have already failed.
Yeah, so I think that's one thing that people actually try to limit themselves. I know maybe it's still on the website. I think it's still on the website for ASP, like you must have a first class to apply. But if you think you are fit, apart from your grade, give it a shot, just like Victoria said. So it's not about your grade alone. They are actually looking at other things. It's an holistic approach they are taking to select the candidate. So try as much as possible, package it together with whatever grade you have, and just apply and pray alongside. Joshua, can you take this question? So Vivian is actually asking, talking of applying early, can I start my application process like a year or two earlier, and will my progress be saved? I hope this is clear. Thank you. So
Yeah, the question is clear. 2 years earlier, even though I said start earlier, I'm not sure 2 years earlier is too early. I think it's too early anyways. But I'm not sure you can do 2 years earlier. And that's not because it's too early or something. And I think there's a part where you have to choose what session you are applying to. And there you see the years. So I'm not sure 2 years earlier is something that works, because usually Wageningen application is always coming out against the next cycle, right? So you only get the option of am I applying to February or to August, right? So, for example, right now, the current one is ongoing and it closes soon. Then later in the year, the one for next year opens. So, by starting early, the idea is you know all the general documents that are required for a scholarship. You can read deeply into the school. You can start to tailor your documents, and if you are lucky enough to have someone review it for you, they can identify the gaps. And what starting early helps you to do is to then take necessary steps to plunge those gaps. For example, is there a gap in experience? Is there a gap in publication? Is not requisite, but we cannot also deny that they can help your profile. So is there a gap in that? Oh, you don't have any publication, but did you work on something nice for your bachelor's thesis? Can we look to draft it into a manuscript? That's what starting early helps you does. So it's not necessarily about starting the application itself. For the application itself, I think a year earlier can start as soon as the portal is available for you to click into the next cycle of application. And yes, it it's a kind of application that saves as you progress rather. So wherever you stop, you can always pick it up from.
all right. Okay. Thank you so much for that, Joshua. Somebody was asking about the SSC, so I already typed that in on YouTube. Olorundare is asking this question: what if one is admitted into two programs and eventually got nominated? How will you know which program to write for in the assignment? I don't know. King David, can you help us with this?
It's interesting because I got admitted in two programs as well. So you get nominated based on, they will make the decision. So they will choose and then they will tell you which one they want you to do the assignment for. For me, I got biotechnology, bio-based sciences, and then they told me, okay, you are writing the assignments for bio-based sciences. So it will be very clear from the beginning. And I think even in the letter they sent to me, they started off with my bio-based sciences, but I think somewhere they wrote biotechnology, because even within Wageningen, both courses are kind of in the same faculty. So I now sent an email to get clarification, like the header said this program, the body said another program. Which do you actually want me to write about? So they made the clarification. So as I said, you should never second guess, don't be confused, and never hesitate to reach out for clarifications. And if I can just go to the previous question, just to quickly say something shortly, instead of being fixated on the timeline, like, okay, do I start submitting my documents? Something I did for myself, because technically I started applying a year earlier, but it was more of like gathering the documents, building myself, creating the trajectory, so that everything was clear by the time the application opened. So instead of waiting for 2 years for to start, no, start building yourself. Just be strategic about courses to take, trainings to do. You can even start your own personal projects, right? I had a personal portfolio of my projects, put it in a link, put it in my CV, and they could see it. So just use those 2 years to be building up yourself. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much. I think that's very clear for the person asking the question. So I'll move on to the next question. So Zainab is asking, should a final year student graduating this year start sending out application before graduation or after graduation? Joshua, what's your thought on this?
Yeah, I think it's possible. I think I've once seen a student that even got in from there, even though you are still currently graduating. Of course, like Victoria mentioned, there is not the advantage that you have not have room to build some more experience. But I also think they are not oblivious of that fact, so they take it into consideration in a way. So you can apply, but um, ensure that I think that's the important part. Ensure that you would have graduated, and things like your document and transcript will be ready at the critical phases. For example, there is no way um, you don't have a full transcript yet, you don't have a certificate yet, and then you get invited to compete in the scholarship. It likely wouldn't work, but if you know you would meet up with that timeline, but it's just that maybe because of school delay, certificate is not out, you can still send in the application and all of that.
Okay. Yeah. So I believe that's clear to the person asking this question. So you can just give it a try out. Better still, if it doesn't work out the first year, you can just give it an attempt by the time you are done with your studies. For everyone that's joined late and maybe they were not able to participate in the beginning when we addressed this question, we want to make it clear to everyone that English proficiency test is a compulsory part of Wageningen University application. There is no shortcut, there is no waiver. I see a lot of questions coming in, so please note it is a compulsory requirement. If for any reason you're unable to make it, just look out for other opportunities that does not require IE or TS. So yeah, that's just it. Somebody is asking about coursework, and I'll direct this to Victoria. Sherif is saying, is it possible to tailor or take relevant coursework from other departments that I feel are crucial? So I think this person is talking from. I want to be sure, like I'm thinking in the same direction with with this person. Like maybe he already got into the university already, so you are thinking of taking another coursework outside your department. Is it possible? So Victoria, can you go ahead with that?
Yeah, absolutely. You can take a relevant course if you think you want to take this, because we have elective in each courses, which you can decide to go to another department and take a very interesting course that you think is suitable to your interest. So it's very possible. Just there's in this place we have the study advisor. You need to discuss it with your study advisor, which she or he will let you know if this is possible or not. But for my case and for many other cases for my mentors too, I mean, you can take courses from any department. So it's a yes.
All right, so that answers the question. Joshua, this is to you. Lauren Dari is asking for research proposal. Are references included in the required word count?
No, I mean the in-text citations, yes, but when you're done with the whole writing, the references at the end, where you have to put the list of references, is not included in the word count. Some publications can have hundreds of authors, so that would be an unfair advantage to people without such. So no, it's not.
So maybe just to add to it, you also want to play on a safer side to make sure that you minimize the number of references you include, whether it's included in word count or not. Just try to keep it on a safe side. So that's just my own addition. I didn't have to write research proposal for my own application. So Bechuku is asking, is there a course related to education, please? Victoria, I am not sure about this, but can you answer?
If it's education linguistic, I don't think so. But something like international development, I don't know if that's suit education, but you can answer. I mean, this question can be answered on the wall page. Just check, please. Yeah, but I don't think it's, yeah.
Yeah, so just go through their
That's all.
master's
Yes,
program.
yes,
See if it
yes.
is, and if you are not sure, you can message. We already said the SSC
Yeah.
at school is a very, that's the best way to go through your queries. So just try as much as possible to send it. Someone is talking about certified true copy and the cost of courier to who. Let me direct it again to Victoria. You are the recent person here. So what is it that people requires maybe after the, I guess this is question is about after your scholarship, like you've
Okay.
gotten
Yeah.
the scholarship.
Yeah. I think after the scholarship, they will ask you to send your copy of your certificate and your transcripts. You will not have to send it through courier. Just tell your university, your bachelor, to forward it to the school directly. So you don't have to ship it through any shipping ship. Just send it. I mean, just inform your university. For me, I studied in university, Federal FUNAP. So I had to just send an email to my school that please can you forward my transcripts and my information to SSC dot blah blah blah, and they send it to them. That's all.
All right.
You don't
So
have to send your
I
copy.
don't know, but by my during my own time, I had to send it through a courier. So I
Oh,
think
yeah.
the maybe it has changed over
Yeah, I
time.
think it
I
has
took
changed.
my certified true copy from the university, went to DHL. It costed
No,
me a
I
lot, and
didn't.
they had to send it to the university.
I
But
didn't.
now
Yeah.
I think once you reach out to the university, they can just send an email of
So
your certified true copy to them. So maybe that's a very good one. Thank you so much. This person is asking. Yes, I mentioned you can see their names on the screen. Just look for them on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Try to see any possible means to. I'm not going to release any one of them's contacts here. So just look out for any possible means to follow them on social media. Um, Somebody is asking for the ASP selection according to the website. I don't understand this person question. What does this mean for the current admission or selection cycle? I don't know. I personally I don't understand it, but if you guys understand what the person is trying to say, you can pick it up
I
from there.
think if you say current admission or selection cycle, so it's running from when it starts, when it opens, till when they give the outcome in May. So I would think it's from October to May. So that's like one cycle of the whole selection process.
Okay. Blessing, I hope you understand with the response like that. Sunday is asking, I'm currently running my master's program in genetics and molecular biology. Okay. And I'll be graduating next year. When should I start applying for a PhD program in molecular biology or biotechnology? Over to you, the biotechnologist in the house, Joshua.
Well, I think it starts at the same time. You can start your application for the next cycle once it opens. But just bear in mind already that you may need to justify why a second master's. And this is a private opinion. I don't know if that's how it works, but I know that one time I had to work with a student. I did require that he doesn't put details of his second master's there, right? Especially since he had some research work ongoing. I said, so just fill that space with um, the research jobs you are doing. That's enough to fill your CV. Because I think if you're really choosing a second master's, it's not a problem, but you have to justify it. You have to show that it's not just a travel route for you because you have a master's already. Additionally, you have to say, in the context of the one you had done already, what have you done with it? What contributions have you made with it in terms of research or any other regards? So I'm not saying don't put it, but I'm saying if you want to put it, find the right justification for it that although I already have a master's, this is why I'm going for another one.
Although
Joshua,
I
I
think
think
he's
his
saying
question
it's a
is
PhD.
Yeah,
have you
I
started
intentionally
applying
have
for
to
a
put the
PhD?
question beside so
Like,
you
have
can.
you started
Oh,
applying for
now
a
I see the
PhD?
question.
Yes.
So a
Yes.
PhD, unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. If it's for a PhD, it doesn't work like that. And the system, I think, is not just Wageningen, the whole of Europe. PhD positions open up like job opportunities. So, like King mentioned earlier, I think this is just about reiterating now. You have to keep an eye open for the vacancies. Good thing about them is that even when suitable candidates are found internally, that the law does stipulate that you open application up for public applications, even if it's for a limited period. And not just that they will open it up and now take the internal candidates. No, just that they know the internal candidates better, but everyone is given a fair opportunity to compete for the sport, right? So you just keep checking it, and if you check the department's website and there is an open position, it works. Sometimes some of the faculties are also like in the process of grants writing and stuff. So code mailing works. I know it works. Not like they now take you, but at least it establishes contact where they can tell you, oh, I think I would have a position open soon. Oh, I don't think I would have a position open soon, and those kind of things. If it's for a PhD, I think that's how it works. You can either look for the vacancy or code mail faculties to try and see if they have a position.
All right. Yeah, thank you so much. This is the last question we are going to take, and that's the last question I'm also seeing in the inbox there. So, Victoria, do you want to address this one? Where it's talking about timeline for verification of documents, which comes after the whole scholarship process. So, how do we go about it?
Verification, if you mean your transcript and your certificate, I think we mentioned that. I just remember that there's option. Like I think they give you timeline. There's like a lot of instructions after your scholarship has done for your visa and everything. They gave you a timeline that you need to send this particular document, your transcript and your certificate to them this particular time. So it depends on the scholarship. I mean, the instructions given to you. But if you have your school, if you have information with your former university, just send the information to them that, oh, please, I need this, my document to be verified or to be sent to this, my new school. And it's been done. Yeah. So I think it's just in an instructions they give. So, and you should also try to work on it before the deadline.
All right. Okay. So,
Can I say
okay.
something
Yeah.
to that? I think you mentioned something earlier about sending it yourself by
Yeah.
courier. So I think in the case where your school is like extremely slow with
Okay.
processing and might miss the deadline, that's the only time where you are now allowed to. I think you first have to notarize it in a court. Notarizing is almost like swearing that these documents are legit, and then you can send by courier by yourself. But that's only in the case that your school is unresponsive.
Okay.
Yeah, if I were add, I did the same process. I didn't send the original. So you make a photocopy, just to be clear, you make a photocopy, you go to a public notary or a high court, you swear that this is a direct photocopy of the original document, and then the notary puts a stamp on it, and then you send it. Because I know it also sounded really risky for me to put my diploma on DHL to send to somewhere I don't know. So you can make a photocopy, but then it just has to be
Yeah.
notarized and verified. So that's what you mean by the certified true copy. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. We are already rounding up, Abdullahi, and we've already answered the question you are trying to ask. So I would advise you try to take out time to maybe do a rewatch of this session and see if you can pick it up. Or better still, try to see if you can reach out to one of the speaker here to ask, because yeah, this is 2 hours plus. I guess my speakers are already trying to wind up from their own time zone. So thank you so much. I just have few questions for you guys, like 1 to 2 questions. For King David, I just want you to share with us what is actually life like in terms of you've got the scholarship, went through the visa process and the whole like. So what should international scholar at Wageningen, what should they expect in terms of the academic system, the support, culture, cost of living, and student life? Like, let's just tell them this is a place to be.
Well, Wageningen is very interesting, to be honest. It depends what do you want to do. Do you want to do sports? You can do sports. Do you want to do volunteering? There are many opportunities, for you, both personal development, professional development. Studying here can be a bit intense because we operate a system that's a bit different from what we are used to in Nigeria. So we have periods and not semesters. So a period of 2 months, you do two courses, you finish the two courses within those 2 months, write the exam. And in between, you're having like projects, case studies that you're working on, group assignments. So it can be a bit fast paced, if I'll put it that way. So you just have to prepare your mind that can be a bit fast paced, especially for those of us from Nigeria, where you have like a long semester and then you can take your time. So here, from day one, everything is already moving really, really, really fast. That's it on the academic side, but you can always study. There's huge study support here. You have study advisors, you have student psychologists, you have student support students. So if you are struggling in a way, you always have someone you can reach out to. And the watchword, as I said, is never keep quiet. People are always willing to answer your questions, so just always reach out. Wageningen is quite international. A lot of nationalities are here, so you can meet people from different parts of the world. It's very, very interesting living here. Students' life is well, the Netherlands in general is a pretty expensive country, if I would say. But your stipends make sure, because the government also caps it, it makes sure that you live a fairly comfortable life. Yeah, when you want to live as a student, but if you want to travel every weekend, then that is your choice. But as a student, you have everything that is necessary. You have the accommodations, there's a housing provider that the school will help you get in contact with, that will provide you with an accommodation to stay, which is also affordable. Feeding is on the low side as well. Once you just manage yourself, everything can fit into your stipend, and you have like a fairly comfortable life. So living here is very, very interesting. For me, I would say this is one of the best things that have ever happened to me, of course, moving to Wageningen. So I would definitely always recommend anyone to come to Wageningen. Yeah.
All right, so that is it, and that brings us to the end of our session. I don't know for because I know most of my speakers are also on the lookout for the time, and I don't know, Joshua. This is the last question. Just bear with me. I know if you answer in 1 minute, then we round up. So, what's your advice for
Yes.
applicants that are applying for this year's scholarship cycle in Wageningen?
Yeah, I guess that most likely you have turned in your documents already. So I think it starts by staying hopeful and hope that you're invited. And if you get invited, do the things that has been said here. Read and internalize your documents and write your essays. Only after then do I advise that it is nice to reach out to a scholar. Most people, well, myself inclusive, like to help students that looks like a success waiting to happen already, something like that. And by that, I'm not saying to have already done everything. I'm saying to have something to show. Like, this is what I've done already. Not that, oh, I want to write the essays. How do I go about it? It doesn't speak well of you. You're like, oh, this person has not done anything, have not found out anything themselves. So do all the finding that there is to do. Get your documents prepped, and people can help you review. Of course, it is academic fraud to write for you and stuff. And when you get in VAC again, hopefully you see why nobody does that, because there are tons of these things and you have to do them by yourself daily, right? Not even a paid person will be able to help you achieve it by that time because of the rate at which it comes. So I'm wishing all applicants, of course, very well in the next cycle. Well, if you believe in God and religion, of course, there is also that angle to it. But in case you don't, then I would say work hard enough um, to get things done. And good luck to everyone in the cycle.
Okay, so thank you so much. Really overshoot my time. I sincerely apologize to our speakers as well as everyone out there. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time, for sharing so much about these particular opportunities, like your practical journey. So, and to everyone who has also joined us live, we also want to appreciate your engagement. So, in case you missed any session, maybe you joined us late and everything, just to let you know that the full replay is available on our YouTube channel. So, and once again, we want to advise you to just stay connected with this series, because it's a series, right? So we are planning to have another one which is going to feature the NAWA scholarship for our next series. So just stay tuned for more details about the series. So thank you so much. And just like our custom, we started with a short prayer. We are going to end it up with a short prayer as well, and we bring it to a close here. So Father, we thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for the grace. Thank you for the knowledge, the wisdom that has been shared from this platform, and for as many people that we are going to be leaning on this information, you guide them through the process and give them the testimony to be able to share with us how this program has been able to impact their application journey in the name of Jesus. In Jesus' name we've prayed. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening, and we wish you
Yeah.
clarity and success on your scholarship journey. Thank you so much, everyone. And this brings us to the close of our program. Bye.